So like when we started, Baker, as an idea, or going through the distribution that it was at and the graphics and all that and the people that were involved, it was sort of a group effort, right? Like, and it made it what it was. And it's very eclectic as a brand because it's everybody's ideas just in a pool of graphics. And so it doesn't have a full direction of what it looks like. It became the direction of what it looks like by not having a direction. And so when we, a couple of years into that, Jim Greco and I had an idea of starting a sister company to Baker because, I think naturally, team gets big and, it just sort of happens. And so we started Deathwish. And at the same time that we started Deathwish, we knew that we wanted to have so we grew up watching, the older brands before us do, have an office with artists and being able to ship out product and salespeople on the phone and stuff. So I think our dream was to be able to, never have to work a real job and continue to do what we love to do. Yeah. But at the same time, it was like, we want to be able to have that environment and be able to have people start brands or whatever it might be, just be a house for that. So we rented a really small, it wasn't a warehouse, it was more of an office space. And Jim and I were actually starting a sunglass company called Brigada at that time. So we held the Brigada sunglasses there, and we were trying to talk to different salespeople. And we had no real experience in doing any of that aside from watching how, when I had my shoe on Emerica, or we had things maybe through Crüe and all that stuff at the time. I would always talk to the sales reps and be like, how's the shoe selling in North Carolina, or how's it selling in fucking Washington, whatever it might be. So I would always, and I just like talking to people and learning stuff like that. So I knew that there was that sort of side of sales that needed to happen. So when Deathwish launched, we did Baker Has a Deathwish, the video, because Baker at the time, it was a year or two after Baker 3 had come out. And so we did that joint video because in order to make Baker 4 at the time, it would have been 15 or 20 people on the team. So we did Baker As a Deathwish, and that was when it was Antoine and Lizard and, the whole Deathwish crew was in that. We rented a 5,000 square foot warehouse in North Hollywood, and we just held all the inventory for the boards. We hired some friends that were in sales, somebody that we, thought could do a good job kind of managing the place. And then because we were coming off of a successful career and the Baker 3 video and all of that stuff, it allowed us to make a lot of mistakes, or, stupid mistakes that we made along the way that you naturally have to make. And then eventually we got to the point where we hired people that were, good at what they did, and just continued to do that. So as far as the manufacturing and the sales and all that stuff, we have an idea of what goes on, and I try and pay attention and learn a little bit here and there. But we were lucky enough to be able to hire the right people to get that going, and we just were able to focus on skateboarding, which I think is, to me, that's the most important thing in the entire, in that universe, of if you have a skateboard brand and you have a distribution and you're, if you go off and stop skating for, what's the reason for the old you, the version of you, to want to ride for that brand, to want to be in the office? If you go to Baker Boys, Andrew will be in there, the team will be in there, I'll drop by Jim. It's inspiring because if you see that those people are still doing it, then why wouldn't you want to be a part of that? You know what I mean? But if they go off and run, it's it has to be that way. So I think that was not we had a real plan, because we just kind of do it sometimes based on gut. But our gut was just keep skating, keep filming, making videos, doing tours, demos, whatever it was that we were doing, and hire the right people to be able to manage that. I like learning and trying to figure that out, but at the same time, it's also about realizing what you're valuable at. That's the part that I'm most grateful for, where it's because I've seen that happen. I've seen it happen to companies that I looked up to, and it's the team, it's the team and the connection to the to people wanting to be a part of that. And I think that, you know, like I personally, like Baker Boys is Jim, Andrew, and myself. And Shane Heil has always been there as well, you know, like but the partners in Baker Boys are the three of us. I myself have like stepped away to pursue other interests that I've been in, you know, and I still always have skated. Jim has done his thing, and like, you know, and Jim is like, he is an artist, you know, his brain works in that way, and he's always doing things that he's interested in, which has kept him, you know, excited about what he does. And Andrew has always continued to skate with everybody. Shane, same thing. And I think that had I been running it on my own by myself, it would not be in the place that it's at right now, you know, because that where what I'm valuable at is in a different place than that. But I think that it's skateboarding. And if you don't have, like, I always think about it like a chain link, you know, like if you don't have the original generation or the people that are there still, you know, like that's like the first link. And then the next link is the ones that are the next, you know, like the Spankies and Hermans and people like that, you know. And the next generation down is the next, like the Pedros and the Foys, and the next is like, you know, so it's like there was a point where, like with Deathwish, it was kind of like there was, you know, it was maybe, you know, 8 or 10 years ago, it sort of, it lost that, like that middle of like people that, you know, like some of the original team, you know, stepped away or, you know, was disinterested in what we were doing or skateboarding in general. And I think that is the most critical thing, is like to me, when I see if Gons is still doing something, I want to still be doing that. And then if I'm in a position like that at a brand or, you know, whatever, and the person that's 10 or 5 or 10 years younger than me sees that, and it's like, and then the one 5 or 10 years younger than them sees that, like, then that's the connection that's the connection that I think personally keeps the brand relevant, you know, because trends will always change and the brand will never be as popular or more popular or whatever, right? Like if it's graphics or if it's a style of filming or whatever it is, right? Like if you're chasing all of that, it'll eventually, you'll not be able to chase that anymore. So if it's consistent and it's always based in the one thing that's pure that made you what you were, which is just being around skating and enjoying the, you know, like that with your friends. If you're interested in that at 40, 50 years old, 50, 60, you know, then that's inspiring to the ones that are the 5 and 10 years under that to want to continue to do that, because that's what it is. It's like, we're not making a, you know, it's not a shoe brand. It's not a fashion brand. It's not you know, it's skateboarding. That's what it is. Yeah. So if that continues to be the most important thing and people are still around and they're a pleasure to be around, you can, you know, I mean, like it's there's got to be a few other things to that. But I think that, you know, I personally think that if the team wasn't there, it wouldn't be relevant. Yeah. So what causes the team to want to be there? Seeing somebody like Andrew skating in the back every single day. Seeing somebody like Shane going out, still trying to film just as hard as he was when he was 20 at 48 years old, 47, you know, like he's trying the same exact way. Yeah. And that's special. Yeah. Because they could have stopped long ago, but the love of it is still there. And, you know, and, you know, like I have a lot of different interests, you know, my body hurts when I skate, so I do it as much as I can. I feel like I'm a little bit, like a little bit obsessive about doing different things, you know, in order for me to continue to be excited about things, I have to be doing things in different areas. So that's what mine is. You know, I cannot do one thing over and over for a long period of time. You know, I can do multiple things and I can still keep a focus on one thing, But for me, I have to mix things up. So that's why it's a way long answer. Sorry.
No, it's all good. Perfect.
That's why I say if it was just me and it would have been gone long ago. Yeah. I mean, like I'm 47 years old, you know, like every time I walk through Baker Boys, I'm like, you know, and especially when I'm with like Jim and Andrew and we walk through and it's like, you know, we created this, you know, like it was an idea 20 years ago. I feel proud. I feel proud of what we did. I feel grateful that like we've been able to maintain it for as long as we did. But it's been like the same mission, you know, like it's been, I don't think a whole lot has changed, you know, like if you walked in, you know, maybe we're a little more organized now, which has allowed us to stay in business, you know, but I don't think that, you know, fundamentally a whole lot has changed since 2006 or 7 when we started. Yeah. I mean, Baker was 2001. And then the Baker Boys distribution and the brand, and Deathwish and Shake Junt and Heroin and the stuff that's followed, you know, that was all, you know, that was 2006 and 8.